Hello learners, welcome to the another video of my YouTube channel Econ the Learning Platform. This is the part 2 of solve question answer of the previous year for final year students. Okay, there is a part 1. I'll put the link in the description box. If you do not visit part 1, please check it out. Now move to the questions. The very first question is, what is production function? So this is a very simple concept. As we all know, production is the creation of utility or creation of goods and services. Okay. Production function simply express the relationship between input used and output produced by a firm. Okay. Now what are the inputs? The inputs are those which are used in the production. Without inputs, we cannot produce anything. So there must be a relationship between input and output. Okay. So this relationship can be expressed with the help of production function. So here we can write the answer like that. Production function is a functional relationship between input used and output produced by a firm. Okay. Or we can write like that. The production function of a firm may be defined as a technological relationship that tells about the maximum level of output can be produced from different combination of input. Okay, you can write either this one or this one, because what is production function, this question carries only 1 mark. Okay. Now, basically production function is an equation, okay, that expresses the relationship between input and output. Now, we can explain like that. Suppose a firm uses 2 inputs, labor and capital. In the production process, a firm uses only 2 inputs, okay. In that case, we can write the production function like that way, Q equal to function of L, K. That means, what does it imply? It implies that this production function shows a technical relationship between output, that is Q, and the inputs which is used in the production to produce output. So what are the input used here? Labor and capital. Okay. So with the help of labor and capital, with this input, a firm can produce Q amount of output. Okay, so this relationship is known as production function. Hope you have understood. Now move to the next question. Give an example of fixed cost. Okay, so what is fixed cost? First we have to know that fixed cost is the cost of fixed inputs or of the firm. Okay, now there are some variable inputs and there are some fixed input. Sorry, now there are some variable inputs and some fixed inputs. Okay, so fixed cost of a firm are those which do not change with the size of the output. So they are remain the same whatever the output is produced. Okay, so they are the cost of fixed inputs. So there are various examples of fixed cost. Here it is asked, give one example of fixed cost. Now you can write either rent on land, this is one example, then cost of machinery, plant and equipment, salary of permanent employees. So you can write any one of them. Okay, now if you are asked define fixed cost, so here is the answer. Fixed cost of a firm are those costs which do not change with the size of the output. This is the definition and this is the example. Okay, now move to the next question. The next question is, what is meant by equilibrium price? So now equilibrium is a very important concept. Equilibrium is a balancing situation. Okay. Now what is equilibrium price? Equilibrium price is that price in which demand and supply are equal. Okay. We know there are two forces in a market. One is demand and another is supply. When these forces are equal, at that point, equilibrium price is determined. Okay, we can also explain with the help of a diagram. Here is the diagram. So, suppose here we can measure price. This is the quantity axis. This is the demand curve. As we all know, this is downward sloping. This is the supply curve. This is upward rising. Both the curve intersect at point 1. Okay, this point is known as equilibrium point. This is equilibrium point. Okay, at this point the price is determined and this price is known as equilibrium price. So the price where demand and supply are equal is known as equilibrium price. Okay, so there are 3 important concepts here. One is equilibrium price, another is equilibrium point, So what is equilibrium point? Where both demand curve and supply curve to intersect to each other. And what is equilibrium quantity? Here we can determine equilibrium quantity in the quantity axis, okay, where demand and supply are equal. So this is the equilibrium price where demand and supply are equal, okay. Move to the next question. Draw a very short run supply curve for perishable good. So now what is perishable goods? Perishable goods are non-durable goods. For example, milk, leafy vegetables, which cannot be stored for a longer period of time. Okay. Here you have to draw a very short run. Okay, the time period is very short run and supply curve for perishable good. As we all know, the supply curve slopes upward. This is the normal supply curve which slopes upward. But here the supply curve, the shape of supply curve will change. And what is the shape of supply curve? It is vertical. Okay. The shape of very short run supply curve for perishable good is vertical. Please remember it. And the supply curve we can draw like that way. This is the supply curve of perishable commodity, price axis, quantity axis, and this is the supply curve for perishable good in a very short run. Okay. Normal supply curve upward rising, don't confuse that. And for perishable goods, very short run supply curve is vertical in shape. Move to the next question. What are the shapes of AR and MR curve of a firm under non-competitive market structure? Okay, so this is a very simple question. AR means average revenue curve and MR is the marginal revenue curve. So under non-competitive market structure, both AR and MR curve is downward sloping. Okay, here is the curve. We draw the curve. Okay, this is the diagram. Here this is the AR curve, which is known as also demand curve. Okay, and this is the MR curve. Both curve are downward sloping, and always remember at this point, one thing is always remember that MR curve, this is the AR curve and this is the MR curve. MR curve always lies below the AR curve. Okay. Now here under perfect competition, as we know, AR and MR equal to MR under perfect competition. Okay, here price is fixed, but in that case, in non-competitive market structure, prices are changing. Okay, so here AR and MR are downward sloping, and always remember MR curve lies below the AR curve. Okay, move to the next question. Define the term scarcity used in economics. Now it is a very common word we used in economics, the term scarcity. Scarcity means shortage, as we all know. Okay, so scarcity, definition of scarcity, the term scarcity refers shortage of resources. It means shortage of goods and resources in relation to their demand. Okay, so every economic problem arises because of scarcity of resources. So it is a very simple and common question. Move to the next question. What is opportunity cost? Now it is a very important concept. What is opportunity cost? Okay, the opportunity cost of any good is the next best alternative good, that is sacrifice. Okay, so opportunity cost is a choice, is what you it is a value for opportunity lost. Opportunity cost is the value of opportunity lost. Okay, that is suppose as we all know, resources are scarce and have alternative uses, hence we cannot produce everything that we need. Okay, the production of a particular commodity involves the sacrifice of another commodity. For example, if we use a certain amount of land, labor, capital to build a factory, okay, then the opportunity cost of the factory might be the residential house which these resources could have produced. Okay, so have you understood? The opportunity cost of any good is the next best alternative good, that is sacrifice. Okay, it is the potential benefit when choosing one alternative over another. Okay, move to the next question. what is shutdown price? Now, what is shutdown price? Okay, so there is a shutdown point and shutdown price. The shutdown price are the conditions and price where the farm will decide to stop producing. And when a farm will decide to stop producing, when price is less than AVC, when price is less than average variable cost, because at this point the farm will making loss. Okay, so at that point the farm will decide that they will not continue for further production and they will decide to stop producing. So this is called shutdown price. Okay, you can write the answer like that. Shutdown price is the price where the farm decide to stop producing. Okay, so these questions are for today's video. In the next video we'll discuss the further question. Hope you like it, and if you like, please subscribe it and share it. And one thing, if you have any doubts related to any topic of economics, please let us know in the comment section. We'll discuss with it.